To the property land where it's everything real estate. And tonight we are discussing a subject that we are all concerned about, but we never go outside to inquire. We don't do enough research about it. But I have with me people who are knowledgeable in this subject, men who have experience, expertise, and professionalism in this particular area, who will help you keep your home secure. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at Fairway Hotel and we are discussing home security. How do you keep your home secure? How do you ensure you can drive in, drive out, walk in without looking on your shoulder to see who is following you, or being safe at night when you sleep? Welcome with me our first guest tonight from Optimal Security Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Ian Kaijuka. Please say hi to the viewers.
Hello viewers, I'm Ian Kaijuka, the Managing Director from Optimal Security Services. Madam Moderator, I'm glad to join into this discussion. I hope that at the end of it, our viewers out there will have learned something about home security. Thank you.
Thank you. I also hope by the end of this show, you will know why you need to hire the likes of Optimal Security. And next is someone who has been in the property management business straight from campus and with over 20 years of experience. We can't have anyone better than him for this particular show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me a board member of the Association of Real Estate Agents Uganda and also the Country Director for Brawl Uganda, Mr. Lutalo Moses.
Thank you, Catherine. Good evening, viewers. Good to be back on this show. I look forward to sharing some of my experiences with our audience and make sure we secure our homes better. Thank you.
Thank you. And starting with Optimal Security, would like to know what are the current trends? What are the crimes or what security concerns are being raised by the people, some of whom that you protect, but also those out there who are not using Optimal Security or any other company?
Thank you very much, Moderator. As all of us are aware, it has been in the news in the most recent past of shootings outside gates, people accessing their homes. We have also had some break-ins. We have also had issues to do with theft of mobile money agents by armed robbers. We also have some registered cases of insider dealings, people connivance of workers to rob their principals. We also have also heard of challenges to do with private and even police engaging in some of these shootings and robberies. But by and large, the cases of aggravated robbery are on the decline, and we are looking at more organized crime, where people have information of either cash or property that is available in a certain location, a home or a business premise, and then they connive to do the robberies. But this majorly is in connivance with insiders. Of course, the general petty thieves are still on the streets, snatching phones here and there. In a nutshell, those are the number of categories of thefts that we are registering, at least in the recent past.
And that's to do with home security or even on the streets and commercial buildings. What kind of crimes are happening around commercial centers?
Commercial centers, we have seen registered cases of, outright theft. Somebody is maybe moving from a bank, moving some monies, and maybe followed by borders, or the thieves are on borders, they follow him up. We have also had cases like the recent one, about a month or 1.5, which involved the Indian moneylender who was shot by a police constable who walked in with a firearm, which is also a weakness on the part of a commercial entity, because ideally there should be restriction on entry of any firearm of whatever nature, be it a rifle, be it a pistol, because you cannot know the intention of the one carrying it. So that is a weakness on the part of security, whether the building was being guarded by private security or police. But crime related to the use of the firearms should be restricted to the extent of the entry, be it a hotel, be it a commercial center or mall.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that insight. And now we come to you, Moses, as a property manager. What are your kind of security threats or issues are we experiencing from a property manager's point of view? And then also, if you can talk about in terms of design, how do we ensure security of buildings as real estate practitioners?
Yes, thank you very much, Catherine. I think that's a very valid question. And building on to what my fellow panelists has been saying, as someone who is involved in managing quite a sizable portfolio of commercial buildings in Uganda, in Kampala specifically, as well as pockets of residential gated communities, we're seeing more and more of sort of organized crime from, sort of insider dealings where people plot and know, okay, so and so is likely to have this amount of money in their desk, and then they'll work with security, unfortunately, and find a way of, executing their missions. And we've been dealing with pockets of these, and the trend is similar, that people have insider knowledge, people get to, work with security providers and figure out how a way to beat security and sneak out items, computers, laptops, or even money in some cases. So for me, the fact that now we're dealing with sort of organized crime, not your one-off. Let me take an example. If someone came to a building and they snatched a side mirror over, say, a bank holiday, public holiday, this person has started and known that, look here, over public holiday, you have minimal deployment, and this car's side mirror is costing so much money. So there's a lot of, planning and execution that goes around some of this crime. And that's what we're trying to do as property managers, is try as much as possible to, one, advise the property developers, property owners, but even owners of homes to respond in the same spirit. We have to design security within our construction. We have to build it as part and parts of our construction, and we have to maintain it and review it every so often. So you find that because of the organized nature of the crime, our response has to be organized. We cannot seem to be disorganized. It has to be a consolidated and sort of coordinated response to this threat. And it starts with design, implementation, maintenance, and as well as review every so often. So what we're trying to do is try to link and say, how best can you organize these facets of the security? And the best way is to bring on board technology, which you call now PropTech, where you have solutions that are integrated and able to provide primary, secondary, security perimeters around different assets and sort of manage them better. So it's more of being able to identify a risk before it happens, and then try to deter it from happening. So that's a sort of coordinated approach we're advising our clients on. Of course, it's difficult with existing houses, existing buildings, because the cost might be a bit different. But when you design it from within, the architect embeds it in, your health and safety people come in and put it in, then it becomes very easy. It's part of the project cost, and you know how to amortize it over time and be able to work out a return on investment on that security for you.
So exactly what are we designing into the building? Because recently one of my friends was robbed, and the house has that, you know, those doors that have a space between the door and the wall that was supposed to be a ventilator. That's where the thieves passed to get into the bedrooms. First of all, they managed to break the burglar proofing. that door at the back is what they broke into. I thought they would break the glass doors, but they went for the burglar proofing. I don't know how. But I'm saying exactly what are we integrating in the construction of these buildings? Or for those that already exist, what do we need to add and how are we doing that?
Yes, thank you, Catherine. I think what we need to understand from a residential, a home perspective, is your first line of defense will be your perimeter. We would want to make sure the perimeter is as, solid, as secure as it can get, because you're trying to deter people from getting in. That's the first or second layer. The first would be the community policing. Do we have robust community? And I know some neighborhoods in Chira, in Mulawa, who decide to raise money just towards, home sort of, monitoring and, inspections at night by different security agencies. So that's one layer. The second layer would be you as a homeowner. What mechanisms have you put in place on your perimeter? That's why you find things like CCTV cameras, electric fences, razor wire, certain heights of perimeter walls to make sure, at least from a perimeter perspective, you're secure. Then even in your house, inside your perimeter wall. Now, I know some people opt to use dogs, others will use motion sensors. You can't use both, because if you have motion sensors in your house or outside your house, dogs will trigger it every so often. So it is a question of what is, and I think it all starts with having a proper risk assessment done for you by experts like himself. Because no one solution fit. You find that if you're in Kololo, your security concerns are different from when you're in, Bulabida. Just for argument's sake.
Maybe Mr. Moses, to add on to that, may our viewers know that home security starts right from location. If you built your mansion in the midst of Katanga, you're most likely going to get more issues than somebody who has built in a more secure environment. And that's a fact. Before we talk about design, location.
Yeah, so just so you continue on that, I wanted to know, are there places in Kampala deemed to be more secure than others? When one of the things selling Dubai for now, it is said to be the second safest city in the world. Of course, I think Norway comes first, but it's said to be the second safest city, and that attracts investment. Also, it becomes a pitching for real estate. In Uganda, which places can we consider to be the safest and most secure, and which ones are more prone to issues? Yes.
I think for me, from a real estate perspective, there's some guidelines that we follow. If, for example, take UN residences where they are, World Bank, even oil and gas, they will tell you Kololo, Nakasero, Mbuya, Naguru. Those are the primary sort of.
We will take a short, quick break, and then we are going to come back and pick it up from there. And as we come back, Ian will be telling us what we need to do to make our homes more secure. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go for a short break and come back. Welcome back from our commercial break. Yes, when we broke off, Moses was telling us which places in Kampala are more secure and which ones are not secure. And Moses, as you wind up on that, I want Ian to pick up right after to tell us, as someone who has security all over Kampala, which places have more issues than others, and what do we do to improve security? First as individuals, then as a community, and lastly as a country. How do we reach the levels where you can move with your $1 million, and of course the banks will say otherwise, but where I can move with my bag of money and I am not looking over my shoulders? Yes, Moses.
Yes, I think, Catherine, when we broke off, I was just giving you some of the neighborhoods that have been perceived generally as secure. But I must say the trend is changing. We're seeing more and more plan-gated communities, like maybe nationwide, Botanica, NSSF, Dubois, places like Kensington. Because one, you have a plan, and sort of everyone knows whoever lives in that community. So community policing becomes very easy, response to crime becomes very easy, securing the perimeter becomes very easy, and containing crime in case of anything. So for me, I'm thinking over and above the traditional locations that have been perceived to be secure, anyone who's trying to come up with a planned estate, which sort of attracts a certain clientele of people living together in that community, there's already community policing at that level. And when you add integration, design, response times and all that, makes it even more secure. Okay. I think from a home ownership, I think I see more of the gated communities being more secure in the long run.
Are apartments more secure?
I think apartments generally would be more secure compared to standalone unit, because if, for example, for whatever reason you're attacked in your residence, it's only you and your household. But in an apartment block, if there was an alarm that was raised, even the person attacking an apartment has to be a bit more bold, because the expectation is you don't know who lives in those apartments. So the response could be people have guns, people have pangas. So for me, I would advise, especially young people, to start out in apartments if you cannot afford to secure your residence as an individual, because there's a collective effort in an apartment complex. You share that cost among 20, 15, 12 units than one house which is spending equivalent amount of money on its standalone.
I'll be coming back to you. Now, Ian, tell us, which locations are more secure?
Well, I can't place insecurity to particular locations, but by the nature of the dwellings, you will definitely have issues depending on the population surrounding your home. So more congested areas, in the Katwe division, for instance, you will have more issues because there are more, poorer people. First of all, is low-cost housing that will attract people who cannot afford much, and those in the category when we talk about theft, you hardly find the well-off involved in theft. Apart from, of course, some organized theft at another scale. Yes, but when you talk about break-ins, it is better that you're in a gated community. It is better that you're in an apartment, like my colleague Moses has said. It is better that you are in a more organized settlement. However, let me say this: security really starts with you and I. We are the first points of security, and this is what we need to know. One, as an individual, you need to look out for anything that seems queer, that seems suspicious as you're heading home, because we have had cases, people being mugged maybe before they reach their homes. Others are opening gates, and that's where they get an issue with somebody. For instance, as you're approaching your home, why don't you take the extra precaution and call so that by the time you arrive at the gate is open, as opposed to arriving and then you begin hooting and you have to wait for another 10 minutes or so. Those of you that have hedges outside your homes, as you're approaching your home, beam the lights, put on the full lights, so that you can be able to observe if there is anything queer within your hedge. Maybe there could be somebody hiding, and maybe you can be able to detect. But even if you saw somebody, then don't stop there. Just continue pass as if you're a passerby, because what you're trying to do is to save your life, but also to beat their plans, whoever is planning whatever it is. But also let us train the people within our homes to also be security cautious. Okay. These are the domestic workers, the shamba boys, our wives, our children, to always be security cautious. My fellow panelist was talking about design. Yes, the design to have the extra barbed wire, the razor wire, the electric fences, the CCTV cameras installed, because they also help in the event of intrusion and for purposes of investigation. But remember that all these are manned by people the human resource.
Okay.
As I said, we're experiencing increment in organized crime where people are conniving. Let us also be cautious of the people that we live with. Maybe your shamba boy may be pushed to connive with thieves because they are getting peanuts or they are not being taken care of. So let us know that the people that we live with are our first line of security, and therefore we should take their interests let's take care of their interests so that we can be able to, together individually and as a group who are living together in that home, to be cautious,
Okay.
to be security cautious and take care of our security needs.
Thank you. Before I forget, in passing, you've mentioned the causes of insecurity. You seem to lean more towards poverty. Is that the only cause of insecurity, Moses, that causes people, to commit such crimes?
Yes, Catherine, I think that question probably Ian is best placed to answer it. He's a security expert. He can tell us what they're saying, because my interface with security is only limited to the portfolio of properties I manage. But I would think, yes, certainly poverty is one of them. But I think there's a lot that goes on in the psychology of a criminal person than just poverty. At times it's many things. But I think Ian would be the best placed person to answer that.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Moses. In the category, poverty, yes, is one of the drivers, but these ones are more to do with petty thefts. Where people are sending in kids, for instance, to pass through windows so that they can open the main door and then their colleagues can access the house. But we also have crimes of passion, relationships gone bad. That can also be a source. People are killing each other over that. We have deals gone bad. People have, a deal that maybe went bad, and that could be a source of a reason why somebody could hire a hitman or whatever nature. We have also, in relation to families and misunderstandings, we have had cases where people are killing their parents because of land wrangles. I'm sure that is not an issue to do majorly with poverty. These are misunderstandings and greed. And greed. So those are some of the factors and the drivers of insecurity.
As we come to the end of the show, Moses, you mentioned gated communities, apartments, as being more secure. Of course, there are locations like Kololo, Nakuru, or the high-end locations where it's more secure. But again, we have more people buying small pieces of land that are affordable, far from town or far from developments. How do we keep those secure? And then the other thing is, maybe Ian, as we conclude in 1 minute, why burglar proofing, Moses?
Yes, I think for the people who are, buying pieces of land outside town and, the developing, my advice would be to, as much as possible, to buy land in an estate. And a couple of estate providers who are doing site services, land and selling it. Because then that means it's organized. And because it's a community of 30, 20 people, then it's very easy to raise 10,000 shillings a month, everyone, and be able to have community policing. Because that will be the first thing. And usually, more than often, people who build that far away may not afford the perimeter wall, may not afford all these other things. So the best thing is to have community policing in place to make sure that that is, accommodated. And I think we have enough, boots on the ground to facilitate that in terms of security companies, both private and, government. So that would be the easier way of doing it. Otherwise, you just... But maybe I need also to emphasize one thing in the crimes that we're seeing. Things to do with cyber crime are also increasing. Someone comes into your home, they, beat you up, tie you up, tell you get your ATM, get your core cards, mobile money line, put in all that. And before you know it, within a space of 30, 40 minutes, they've wiped your accounts clean. So there's a combination of, your petty thefts working hand in hand with organized, high sophisticated tech people. Now, to counter those, I think these are solutions that Ian and the security operatives can help us.
Yes, Ian, in 1 minute as we conclude.
Well, as we conclude, security, we shall, to be able to manage our security, we shall need a combination of both the technology provided by CCTV cameras, the clock-ins, and so on and so forth, but also to enhance the capacity of our manpower, both police, the PSOs, which are the private security organizations like Optimo Security and others, that can be able to help us man these. But may I conclude by saying security starts with you and I. Before we call on anybody else, can we understand what security is? We are trying to secure our lives, our property. And if we do that, and if everybody is cautious about it, then we shall reduce on the occurrence of theft and any other insecurity-related challenges.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is fast spent. It's been nice having you. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, but also don't forget to send in questions where you want us to focus. From Catherine as your host, we are going for lunch at Fairway Hotel. Please come join us. See you next time.